Okay, so today we have another DH colloquium presentation, and I think this topic is really quite different from what we've had before, so that will be really interesting. It is about, and I probably mispronounce it, but we'll hear about that during the presentation, I guess, about isiBheqe, the first additional script, language pedagogy in African digital orthographies, the case of the isiBheqe soHlamvu digital tools for use in language and linguistics learning. And I already apologize for my bad pronunciation. We have two presenters, Iris and Pule. Iris is a qualified French as a foreign language lecturer, a linguistics pedagogical advisor who collaborated on the creation of a manual for isiZulu for English speakers, beginner in isiZulu, available on request. With Ma Shirley Gamedze. She's a PhD student in grapholinguistics, currently working on the isiBheqe soHlamvu writing system for isiZulu. Oh, this is going to be a challenge for me. No, it already is a challenge for me. And Pule is a researcher in indigenous linguistics and a scholar of cultural history of Southern African speech practice, as well as an advocate for the writing systems of the continent, such as this script that we're talking about today. He offers services as a linguistic and cultural consultant, focusing on cultural and linguistic history and practice in Africa. Pule's academic research engages cryptolects, or secret forms of speech, with advocacy work foregrounding marginal language practice. Through traveling as a speaker to introduce the subject of technologies of writing of the continent, promoting the script, which is a syllabary script. But we'll hear about that more during the presentation as well, I think. I'm not sure who's presenting first, Iris or Pule, but you have the virtual floor. Thanks.
Good morning, Menno, and thank you for the opportunity of presenting. So Pule is going to present first, and then I will, and with his assistance.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Iris. Thank you, Menno. Igama ngingupule kaJanolintji, ngingumcwaningi wezilimi zesintu nezabathwa University yaseKapa. I'm a researcher at the University of Cape Town, and I work, as said, in the field of originally phonology and phonetics, but in also sociolinguistics and philosophy of language. But I'm here as an advocate for the writing system called isiBheqe soHlamvu. And the first thing I would like to say is on the website isiBheqe.org.za, we show this map. We like to show this map, and I would just like to just to check if people are there and participating. If people can just give me like any comment on this map, which is a map of a selection of different writing systems or scripts of the continent. Anyone can just open their mic and give me a feedback here.
Molweni babethu, ngumabhengwa nokhulumayo. Siyabonga Pule. Kumnandi kakhulu ukubona ukuthi ibalazwe lezwenikazi linje ngoba liphakamisa ukuthi i-continent izwenikazi lika-Afrika lisemqoka. So I think it's wonderful to see that. Yeah.
I like that answer, and I also noticed in the chat that my Koro has written map is upside down. So I think Uma Bengwane has explained that in fact, you know, the map is the right way up. In context of we are in the south, why do we not put ourselves on the top? This is the southern realms. So when we have our focus on the top of a map, the south should reasonably also be on the top, because it doesn't change the orientation in terms of the cardinal points. The south remains the south. And of course, in olden times, in 2000 years ago in ancient Rome, you know, they would show the east on the top, and that was a normal way of showing the map with the east on the top. And that's because perhaps they were having trade relations with the east, you know, the Silk Route and these things. So the east would be always represented on the top. And even the word orient means to face the east, to orient yourself. So that's where we get this terminology even. And then even an Arabic map, you know, from 1,000 years ago, they used to always put the south on the top. And for the simple reason that if you're sailing from the Arabian Peninsula, you're going to have to sail towards the south. So it makes sense, you know, it's a practical consideration why you would choose this convention. Now, the question I'm raising is, certain conventions we use them, but are they actually serving us or are they not serving us? You know, so I'm just going to ask, what's the time now? If anyone can tell me what's the time. It seems to be 11 past 10. But my question for anyone is, what's the time in Ethiopia now? That's a quick question for people who are there. What's the time in Ethiopia? Okay, 12:11. I see someone says. Okay, so that's adjusting for the time difference. But my question really is, what's the time in Ethiopian time? Because in Ethiopia and East Africa in general, there is something that they often call East African time, which, you know, is a different system of time. You start counting the hours from when the sun rises. So the sun rises at what we call 6. And after 1 hour, the sun has been risen for 1 hour, and therefore the hour is 1 o'clock. Yeah. So if it's 6 o'clock, then 7 o'clock is going to be 1 o'clock. 8 o'clock is going to be 2 o'clock. 9 o'clock is going to be 3 o'clock. 10 o'clock is going to be 4 o'clock. So right now it's about 4:15 in Ethiopian time. So it's just a different system of time. And in a place that's close to the equator, where the sun rises almost always at the same time, then you know, it's going to make sense that you use a system where it's 1 o'clock after 1 hour of daylight. So, you know, it's bringing up this question of our conventions. Do they serve us, or is there another convention? When I was a child, I used to sing this song, which is a counting song, where you start counting with your small finger. Potiro hangara hangara ndate mate misochino nichangala mutanda mandure and you start with the small finger. But in different countries, there's different ways of counting, right? So on the left is the 3 fingers. In a British or American way of counting, where you start with your index finger, and then you have your next finger, and then you have your 3 like that. But in like a French or a German way, you start with your thumb, and then index finger, and then the next finger. And then in our way of counting in Southern Africa, we usually start with a small finger, and then the next one and the next one. But if I can show you a video of how they count traditionally in Japan, this is how it is. So as you can see, that counting is on one hand. It's single-handed counting. So you can count to 10 on one hand. But what if I told you that you can count to 99 on 2 hands? And this is a type of counting that is called chisampo. And this is a 2-handed counting. So if you consider each digit on the right hand here to be worth 1, and the thumb to be worth 5, and you consider each digit on the left hand to be worth 10, and then the thumb to be worth 50. In this way, you can count any number between 0 and 99 on 2 hands. Now, obviously, this is a very useful thing in many different contexts. And what I would like to say is that it's not just a thing, it's a technology. This is a technology. You know, we often think of technology as being something digital, you know, something to do with computers and things. But this is a technology. It's a cultural technology. So essentially, I'll always refer to myself as a cultural technologist, because I'm dealing with these kind of systems of functional knowledge, which that's a definition of technology. And here's a question: what language is this? What language is this? Anyone can tell me what language is this? Anyone who can read? Someone is saying Arabic. Okay. So it is Arabic letters but it's not Arabic language. So let's make a distinction between the writing system and the language. Because in fact, this is Afrikaans. Yeah, this is a poem, like a struggle poem. And remember, when you read Arabic letters, you start from the right, you see? So the same way that we turn the map and we put the south at the top, you know, there's a different orientations of writing. You can start from the right with Arabic. And this is di, kent, es, ni, duet, ni, right? And so this is the original way that Afrikaans was written. For the first 100 years of the history of Afrikaans, it was written with Arabic letters because Afrikaans was in a context of slavery that it came about and it came to prominence. And in a context of slavery in the Cape, the large majority of slaves were Muslims and they were literate in the Arabic script and their language was Afrikaans. So Afrikaans began with the original Arabic writing form, which is called an ajami. An ajami is a word for any Arabic script that is used for languages other than Arabic. So this is how Afrikaans originally was written. And today people are still like writing like this in a revivalist way. Then what language is this? The famous verse from Mkai. Mkai, those who are familiar with this Xhosa literature will know Mkai. This is Lala njalo gembambushe, Ndunenkulu kulontlushe, amabhongo wafezile, bonke ubuntu bugqibile. Mkai. So that's from a famous passage about the dog of Nika, and about it was an allegory about the relationship to the British colonial system. And he compared the dog of Nika to the British, that Nika was too close to this dog, and eventually the dog bit him. So this is an allegory that I wrote. But what I want to just point out is the graphic form of this writing system that's used here, and how it's quite asymmetrical in terms of the length. Because if you listen to Mkai's verse, it's very well metered. Lala njalo gembambushe, Ndunenkulu kulontlushe, amabhongo wafezile, bonke ubuntu bugqibile. So you can start to see how the script actually functions on a rhythmic level here. And the script is called isiBheqe, soHlamvu, or kaSesotho, and I've been advocating for the script a long time. This is from a presentation since 2016. It's going towards 8 years now. And isiBheqe soHlamvu can have different ways that it's represented. It can be in this tessellated form where it creates like unitary like word structures as well. But it also can be in a linear way like this, isiBheqe soHlamvu. And this is DT Matsa Dinoko. And of course, it's not confined to language. It is used for all different language forms of the region. And a very important feature of it is because it's a geometric symbolism that comes from the systems of color and geometric symbolism that go back many generations. The system also has this potential for color to become a part of the design makeup of the text. So here we have Paulo. So it's a technical term for it in Xitsonga. And then here's Lo Vomo. So here's a technical term for it in Chivenda. Just as a way of differentiating different like regional color systems here that can be used, and also the fact that it can be a top-to-down orientation as well, and also the fact that it's not confined to any single language form. It is for the whole region. So here's a poem, an extract of a novel by BKM Tombeni called Mipya Nyeka. And this is a famous magical realist novel. And it's about somebody who comes to Johannesburg, and it's written here in isiBheqe. Magonzo ya Joni akunzukile misiha vanu hi ona ngati le ifamba kamisiye yo leo bilu imena nawe na muhlayi wa mukaringedo lo ujoni hi yena muno akona lo hina ingashiro shayena. So this is a passage about the streets and arteries of Johannesburg. I mean, the literal becoming literal arteries. So the blood is pumping through, and we are the organs, and Johannesburg is this person, and it's about the connectedness of a city. So in the same way that I'm expressing language as one connected whole and not different individual little boxes, this is a common way of understanding it in so-called Ubuntu philosophy, and it features in literature like this. Now, this is a great piece of literature. that people are not necessarily familiar with unless they have studied Xitsonga literature at school. But it's a very famous author, and I've put it into the image generation software. And of course, I couldn't put the Xitsonga because the machine learning hasn't yet been able to capture this Xitsonga language. But I put the translation in, and it's produced this image here. And we've added this background on top like that. So just in terms of design, you can have an isosceles style design or an equilateral style design, and this creates different tessellating potentials. So this creates different design possibilities. And because it's structural, then it can become this kind of architectural design. So this is by the artist Sandile Khatebe. And these are the praises of Khatebe, Bunga and Timkulu. All the Izchakazelo Zawashubi. So it's obviously the Shubi nation, the Khatebes, and these are all the praise names. These two and Sandile actually has done a lot of isiBheqe artworks, and also playing with negative space and playing with depth. And he's even done some quite large ones. And then a project that we have been doing for a couple of years, maybe 4 years now, I think, three or 4 years, I'm not sure, at the University of Johannesburg is jewelry design department. Every year there's a lecture about writing systems and isiBheqe, and then the students start producing jewelry. So this is written Kwabe. So the project was about identity, and it's about showing your heritage in terms of your clan heritage as a symbol of relational identity through each other, you know. And here's one that's written Moho, which is unity, oneness, Moho. So this is more, this is Ho. So that's a ring. Here it's written Umuntu, Ngumuntu, Ngabantu. And you can start to see that the symbols are also quite iconically evocative, you know. I'll return to this passage here because as you can see, I would like to just point out the Latin alphabet is got these uneven lines where the isiBheqe syllabary has very even lines, and it mimics the actual orality. It brings it back to the body and the fact that language is a physical act. It's the air is moving and it's actually touching our body inside in the eardrum. It's physical, it's tactile. Sound and language is something embodied. It's not something that is just purely intellectual. So I think the Latin alphabet actually it distances us from the orality. And I think isiBheqe brings back to the orality of the language. And the reason is because obviously in Latin orthography, you are using many digraphs and trigraphs, you know, to represent simple consonants, or this is just one syllable, but it's now 4 different symbols. Whereas here, right here, this is just a single syllable, you know. So you can already see that uphawu olulodwa lukhombisa uhlamvu olulodwa ezilimini. So basically one symbol represents one syllable, so it's a syllabary. Now in the continent, there are many actual syllabaries, and in fact, syllabaries are the most common type of writing systems. Alphabets are not actually that common, even though they are very dominant. They're not that common in terms of in numeric numbers or writing systems. The writing systems some of the writing systems that are syllabic, you know, around the continent. But alphabetic systems are the ones that we know from school, formal education, which essentially is a missionary and colonial system that has become updated into our new dispensation. But we should also remember that even with that history of colonial history, the writing system itself originates in the ancient Egyptian symbols, and over the many millennia, these have actually come to represent our Latin or Roman alphabet today. They actually originate from the ancient Egyptians. So it has an African source in ancient times. However, it's not necessarily the best system to use for our local languages here. And I think Iris probably more about that. Other writing systems in the continent that are alphabets are Nko system, which is an alphabet from West Africa used for Mande languages like Bamanankang. And this is Solamanakante, who is the promoter, well, maybe the originator of Nko, or perhaps the popularizer of Nko. And National Sports Stadium, right to left written, Fereba Modibo Keta, and Facebook post, and my WhatsApp and my Facebook is in Nko. And we have a lot of discussion on Nko. It's probably one of the most successful indigenous African scripts. Then another type of writing system that we're most familiar with from Chinese or Hanzi characters is one symbol is one word. So with the alphabetic system, one segment or sound, speech sound is one symbol. But with a logographic system, one whole word is one symbol. So this is Hanzi. And an African example of it is in CBD. And this is in CBD, the actual word here. And as you can see, this Igbo dictionary, you know, here's, for example, the word drum, and it's just one symbol, abia, and that's the word drum as a single symbol. And this was also used in the Black Panther movie, which was quite an intelligent way of using that system in a fictional Afrofuturist universe. And then another type of a larger language unit for writing system is Schrift, and Schrift is a sentence writing. We just use that German word because it's in the literature. But here's a Adinkra system, and the Adinkra system is essentially sentence writing. But it's like, for example, Proverbs is shown as as we would call them. And this one is, for example, Funtu Funafu Jenkem Funafu. And then this is the Siamese crocodiles with two heads but one stomach, and they fight over food. So they forget that they're eating together at the end of the. So it's a moral day, and it's represented in the single syllable. And this is the Jenyame system, the symbol where you will be very familiar with it anytime you go to Ghana. It's the most common of these, the Jenyame. But also in Indaba My Children, in Babusa Mazulu Credo Mocho's book, you'll find similar concept, ideograms, and an idea that's represented in a particular symbol. These go back many, many generations, and they're used as a form of esoteric knowledge in the fields of traditional healing and divining. And this is a book by Tawarai Mutake from Zimbabwe, who is originally from Harare, and now is one of the top font designers of the younger generation, who has also written this book or cataloging these and given the meanings in Zulu and in Shishona. And these things are still used, you know, in that ideographic form where an idea is actually one symbol, and they are combined in this way. Like this is the queen mother of the Zulu kingdom. And these three symbols are combined to actually explain her position as a younger person in age, has taken the role of becoming a mother of the nation, who is actually younger than her son, in fact, because of course the son's biological mother is dead, and so it goes to the next house of the king's wives, and this person is 37 years old, but is actually younger than the king. And this is all that information is represented inside the beadwork. So this beadwork also combines with the mural art of Sesotho tradition, like we call this ditima, and ditima is from the word lima, which means to cultivate. So it has relation to agriculture. And it also is very famous for being part of rotational symmetry in mathematics literature as a principle of generating these design patterns. And there are different forms, but the point about them is that they're not just decoration, they have meaning. So this one is Kulobe. It's the totem of the bush pig, which is a very famous totem, like from maybe, like, for example, Kamama Bodo, they are those people like Kulobe. And so you would put this on your house, you know, in order as a way of Ugus Tagazel, you know, in order to show your lineage and your relation, as we understand identity is relational. So isiNdebele tradition umgwalo is essentially a combination of the geometric color symbolism of beadwork with the mural art of Sesotho tradition, right? So this name umgwalo, obviously Esther Mahlangu is there, and ugwala is the isiNdebele word for creating these works. This is umgwalo, and ugwala is actually the same as ubhala. Ugwala, it means to write. So we should remember that these are not decorations. They are decorative, but they are writing. They're writing. So when we look at the writing of can I just ask a time check there? How's the time?
We're now at 10:30, at least South African time.
Okay. So I think I'll take another 5 minutes, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Is everyone seeing the slides? Someone is saying, is everyone seeing the slides? Yeah.
Yebo, singabona ama-slide.
Siyabonga, siyabonga. So uma sibheka ukuloba kwalezo zimpawu zonke sibona ukuthi konke kuqala ngesimo sonqantathu. Everything starts with this the heart of the form is the triangle, unqantathu, the three-sided form. And the three-sided form is quite important. And if you think of it, it's quite fundamental, even in deictic terminology. When we say deictic terminology, like say me, you, it, you know, or me, you, her, him, they, you know. This is the first person, second person, and third person. You know, there's no fourth person. You understand? There's something kind of fundamental about the way we understand the phenomenology of personhood according to a number of three. So it makes a lot of sense why, philosophically speaking, the triangle is at the heart of the system and also represents this kind of ideographic meaning here. So this symbol is traditionally called intombi. This one is called insizwa or isoka. This one is called umfazi, also known as iqanda, and this one is called indoda. And you can understand I don't need to explain too much here. You can see the way it works, you know, in terms of the philosophical side of it. So, but basically with the phonetic script, which is isiBheqe soHlamvu, which means isiBheqe of the syllable, we have identified vowel sounds that go according with these, like insizwa or isoka is a a, and intombi is a e, you know. And so these are vowel sounds that are associated with these triangles. And so all the vowels in Sintu languages, like Dipuo Setso, Africa, or in fact the whole of Southern Africa, we've got 7 different vowels. You know, in English we've got maybe it depends on your variety of English, but you can have up to 17, 19 different vowels. It's just that they're not written. But you have o, a, you understand? Whereas Kastetso, you've got e, u, o, right? Now, as you can see, the orientation of the triangle is equal to the quality of the vowel. The vowel changes the way it sounds according to which way the triangle is pointing. And the system works very simply in that you start with the vowel. The vowel is the nucleus of the syllable. The vowel is the nucleus, the actual sonorant part of the sound of each syllable. And that sonorant part is what's carrying the sound through the air for the most part. And so the vowel is the core. In terms of, remember, I'm going back to the actual embodied nature of it, the physical nature of it. And E, you know, this is a she, and I've written it in the Xitsonga orthography here to see that, you know, Xitsonga orthography, now if you read it in isiXhosa, it's going to be K. You know, if you read it in isiNdebele, it's going to be K. You know, the Latin alphabet is being used every which way. It's being pulled every which way. But in isiBheqe, this is always going to be sh. It's never going to be anything else. So it's consistent. So it's a very useful system for being consistent across language. So here we have E, she. Here we have U, tu, right? So a simple way the system works, you start with the vowel, which is the sonorant unit, you add the consonant, right? And then you add a different feature of the consonant. Now, as you can see, the consonant has 2 different features to it. It's got where in the mouth it's placed, and it's also got the way the air is traveling through the space, like the type of cavity that the air is traveling through. So that's the manner of articulation. So the curved nature of it tells you that this sound has a hissing quality. And the place tells you that it's actually in this alveolar section of the mouth. Alveolar is the ridge just behind the teeth. And this is, so the sound is just behind the teeth, and it's creating a sort of a turbulence there. So that's what we call a fricative in linguistics. So here we have nsa. So this is a feature that creates nasality. And then we have a voicing line, which creates, it changes s to z. Because the difference between s and z is just that the vocal cords are engaged. Say z. So here we have nza. So as you can see, it's a very simple combination of different features that builds up to create a syllable. So you can have here all these vowels and then only 3 very simple graphemes, and you get this whole complexity of syllables. So these are all the consonants in the system. and all the consonants, meaning that for all language in the whole region, doesn't matter whether it's Sipulana, Kilobedu, Sipatra, Sihlubi, Chichopi, Chizezuru, Chindau, it doesn't matter. These can represent all of it equally at the same way. And it's a featural, as I said, it breaks it down into actual, parts of the speech apparatus, So here we have, which actually iconic of the shape of the tongue even. And the which is on the apex of the triangle, which is the lips. And so it's easy to remember because the actual triangle is even iconic of the actual mouth. So it leads back to this idea of orality and physicalization of it. And if we are to represent all the consonants of the entire region, we can represent it with this network diagram, And isiBheqe does a good job of covering all these bases and under one consistent orthography. And vowels as well, they are very easy to remember because when you say ah, your tongue goes down and your chin goes down, so it points down. When you say e, your tongue goes up, so it points up. So the orientation of the apex of the triangle is indexical of the vowel height or frontedness. So if your tongue is at the front of the mouth, it goes eh. If it's at the back of the mouth, it goes o, right? So the left is the front, the right is the back. The top is the top of the mouth, the tongue going up, and then the tongue going down. So it's a very simple way. So I'm going to hand over to Iris now. And before I do that, I'm just going to just mention the digital tools that we're going to be working with. I think, as far as I know, in Iris's talk, I'll assist with that. And this is the very rudimentary keyboard application that is found on the website, isiBheqe.org.za. You can find the keyboard where you can actually use the system, because of course the system is not yet in Unicode. In fact, there's somebody on this call here who, in fact, is actually working on the Unicode proposal as we speak. So it is in process that it's going to be in Unicode, but there needs to be a lot of work before then. And right now, it's just possible to create these image files, but there's this digital tool that has been created through funding through the Arts Foundation, actually. And then independently, a researcher in digital arts, who used to be the head of the digital arts at BITS, has created this transliterating app. Now, this app is you just type in the Latin alphabet and it produces the isiBheqe character. So you can use this as a quick way of transliterating if you want to check something. Although, as Iris will show, it's not the aim is not to begin with Latin alphabet. It's backwards. That's putting the north on top. You want to put the south on top and begin with the indigenous alphabet, the indigenous syllabary, and then you can transliterate to Latin script after that. And then the other resource that we've given is this one, which is a UNISA teaching manual. It's meant for linguistics first year students at UNISA in phonetics, but it gives a full description of the writing system. It is written by Dr. Nabjadi Litswalo from UNISA Linguistics Department. And this is a very good primer. It's a very good introduction to this subject of writing systems and orthography, scripts and orthographies, we can say. And it is a very good reference as well for the isiBheqe soHlamvu system. So with that, I'll just hand over to Iris.
Thank you, Pule. So I hope that the people attending have appreciated the richness, the wealth of knowledge that you are displaying, that you are sharing with us. So myself, I would like to do a workshop, a practical workshop with the writing system and start writing words in the script. I'm going to be sharing my screen, but I'm going to be quick because we don't have much time. So can everybody hear me? Am I?
Yeah, sounds
yes,
good.
okay, thank you. Thank you. So isiBheqe soHlamvu is a script, and it's an opportunity for a first additional script for people who are not used to different script, different writing system. We are quite familiar with different languages, but not script, actually. If you come like me from a perspective of generally, I'm French, so monolingual, monoscriptal, monoliteral. I speak French. I was reading in French and reading in the Latin alphabet. So isiBheqe soHlamvu, because it's so systematic, it's an opportunity to familiarize oneself with different writing system. And this one is a syllabary. So I would like to speak about some terminology quickly, and I would like actually to move quite quickly to a workshop, and I would like Pule to assist me in commenting on the A-syllable chart. So first of all, the study of writing systems and script is called grapholinguistics. It's considered as fairly new as a subfield of linguistics, and terms are not all clear, not all defined. One thing that I would like to distinguish is a script and a writing system. Pule has shown you that we can write Afrikaans, for example, with the Arabic alphabet. So a script can be used for different languages, and each language develops its own writing system. So for example, in South Africa, we've got 12 official languages, 11 are written, and 11 of them have a different writing system. And that was what I stumbled upon when I was trying to learn myself different languages of South Africa. And I was applying my isiZulu knowledge, phonological knowledge to Tshivenda. And I've been told it was not possible to do that. We cannot read the Latin letters the same way across the different languages of Southern Africa. I'm going to move forward, actually. I'm going to go straight to explaining, going really fast to the chart, Pule. Can we talk about the chart and comment on the A-syllable chart and show the keyboard as well? Pule?
I'm here. Can you see the chart?
Okay, so now I need to stop the sharing. I'm going to do that.
I'm sharing. Yeah, I'm sharing.
So I'm stopping the sharing. So, okay, so this is the chart for the A-syllable for isiZulu in the script of isiBheqe. So this is very specific. We cannot in these syllables create Sesotho or Setswana. We can do that on the keyboard that we're going to show you later. So at the top, you see the triangles that represent the vowels and the 5 vowels of isiZulu. The triangle going up and open is an U, closed and going towards the right is an O. The triangle as the apex, as Pule was using the scientific word, is it's an A. The triangle towards the left is an A, and the triangle closed this time and towards the top is an I. So I would like to show how systematic is this writing system and how much of the visuals are cues on how to pronounce and where to pronounce. Pule, could you comment on the first line and the second line, how it works? Yes.
Okay, so as you explained, and I also mentioned that the direction of the triangle is the quality of the vowel, and then whatever is inside or around the triangle is the consonantal features, but it's featural. And there's the distinctions that we have are actually related to the Sintu language grammar, you know, the sound grammar, as in the phonology of Sintu languages. So here we have the plosive p, and it creates the syllable pa, because they're the apex of the triangle and it's a straight line, meaning that's a plosive sound. So it creates pa. But when we add a little grapheme, which is called ingungwanyana, we call this ingungwanyana or ingungwana, and this is a dot in the middle, which indicates it actually represents the glottis. Now, the glottis is what closes just on top of the larynx, the voice box. It closes there to create a cavity that doesn't include the lungs. So the difference between pa and pa and pa is that pa, the air is coming through from the lungs, and pa, it's actually just an ejective sound, which is it's creating a compression just in the oral cavity between the glottis. So here's the glottis. So you can see again that the systematization of the writing system is such that actual physical features and phonological features that are represented with this addition of different graphemes. So then if we add this ingungu, and ingungu is this circle here at the apex, and essentially it represents the nasal cavity. So it represents any type of pre-nasalization of the sound. So if it's pa, in this case it's pa, this case is going to be mpa, mpa, because that's a pre-nasalization. It's a nasal that comes before a nasal activation that comes before the consonant. And then if we add these two lines, that's now the labialization, which is the w, and this is an extra feature that can be added onto that consonant. Because essentially in isiZulu, for example, mpwa is one consonant. It's just one consonant with a number of features. It's not three consonants. The Latin alphabet is confusing us because it's making us think it's three different consonants. It's one consonant having all these different features. And these features are represented individually in the isiBheqe system. So this is the way the system builds up to create syllables from actual phonological features. So it's a very transparent representation of spoken language. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're gonna, so it was my aim, because Pule is a phonetician and specialist. So that's better for explanation for the audience. My aim is to show that this system is very systematic. And once you understand how it works from one consonant to, for example, Pule, can you, I'm not sure you covered it now, but between the p and the b sound, like what is, how do they look like?
So here we have the consonant pa, and as you can see, it is just the consonant pa with the addition of this grapheme. And when we say a grapheme, we mean like the equivalent, the graphic equivalent of a phonological feature. So the phonological feature here is voicing. And voicing is represented simply by this line, which goes from the base to the apex. And this line is actually suggesting that the vocal cords, the vocal folds are engaged. So pa becomes ba. And this is now what we call the breathy voiced consonant ba, for example, in isiZulu.
So
yeah, like pa noi.
To interrupt you, but people can practice on their own the difference between pa and ba by touching their own vocal cords and pronouncing it on their own.
Yeah, I would say the best way to practice that, if one is not familiar with phonetics, if you just say the sound and you put your finger on your if you have one Adam's apple, or if you're smaller, it won't project, but on your vocal, on your larynx, your voice box, and you say and then you change that to z.
Can you show it, because you're on the pa at the moment?
Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, I think I'm having a problem with my video. Maybe you can just show it. So, yeah. But basically, just to describe, it's just you put your finger on your voice box and you say, and then you say, you'll notice that there's a vibration, and that vibration is the only change. You understand? Okay. There's no difference in the speech organs.
But what we see on your slide is, on your screen, is the pa thing. Can you move to the sound, which is on the right?
Where is it?
Small and on the right.
Yeah. So this is a sa,
yes,
and then This one will be za. And as you can see, it's just the one feature that is engaged, which is the voicing. So you've got sa, and then you've got za. The only difference is the voice is engaged. Otherwise, it's the same. So it mimics the actual articulatory phonetics of it, as in the way that the organs of speech are actually positioned.
Exactly. So there's a correspondence. And
Yes.
it's a phonetic correspondence, and we can see that throughout all the charts. So what I wanted to say is that it's a very systematic one. Now, if we take the chart, because all these syllables are for A, if we turn them on any side, can you turn on one angle? Yes, for example. So now it's going to be the syllable A. So all the syllables of isiZulu with the sound, the vowel A. I hope people understand that it's the rotative principle of that. Now, if we turn it, twist it again, and then we have the apex at the bottom, and the apex at the top, sorry, it's the syllable I. All the syllables of isiZulu, which is about 121, I think, syllables, I. Okay, I hope it's kind of clear, because not everybody is phonetician and a linguist here. So I would like to start typing in the keyboard, the GitHub keyboard, some words like Sani Bonani or Enrique, but then we move on to the next one, because I want to start by the vowels, which is the principle of the script. Yes, this keyboard. So can we type Sani Bonani? So stop here, Pule. So on this keyboard, on this website, we can see that there are 3 lines. The first lines are the vowels, and the 3 round shapes are nasals. So the triangles, the empty triangles that we can see, the 7 of them, are the 7 vowels of Sintu languages. So when we think within this script to write any words of the 2 languages, we have to think first, starting by the vowel. So we choose the vowel of our syllable. So for example, Sani Bonani, the first syllable is sa, and our first vowel is a. So we pick up the triangle a, and then we're going to look for the consonant that represents the sound s. So that is sa, that has been written. So we can click on the next one. So sa ni, we look for the I vowel. The triangle going up is the I. And then we want the consonant ni, n. So it is the round with a little line on it. So sa ni bo, we need the sound o. And then we want the consonant b, so we can go through the p and the vocal. P, b, bo. And then sa, ni, bo, na, we want the a and the nasal. And then ni, I, and our nasal. Okay. So it's very systematic. People can create their words, their name, I'm sure, and praise name. And then they can go on to the export high res, and that's what I play with. I export it, and then I go on to something like Pixelmator to create beautiful display visuals. Okay, so we've created Sani Bonani. I would like the people to train, or maybe we can show Dumelang. Dumelang would be, because now it's not isiZulu anymore. So the U, and then we want T, and then the breathy D. The horizontal line is D. That's fine. Do, me, and la, a, l. The double line on the side is L, and then Dumelang. Good. So that's it. So the website, the keyboard is available. It's an what do you call that? An open source. It's available and people can use it. The address is here. We posted it on the chat, and I hope it will be on the Sardila link as well, a website for people to train. So you can really train to write any words of 2 languages. It's not specific to isiZulu, contrary to the previous app, Rike's app, where you can show it again, Pule, the Rike's app. Okay, where this one you can type, so you start by writing in Latin alphabet, but we're gonna write Unjani maybe, or Sani Bonani. So Sani Bonani, which means hello to a group for people who are not familiar. Okay, we're going to answer your question, Tanya. So Sani Bonani, we write with the keyboard, we write in the Latin alphabet. The second line is in isiBheqe, and the third line is in IPA. This app has some limitation because the person was nor a linguist nor a speaker of isiZulu. So it can be a tool, it can be a guidance, but it's it has some imperfection still. And actually, I think that the best keyboard is the other one, where we start by thinking per vowels. For example, we can show a limitation of this. No, we're not going to do that there. So, Menno, how long do we have? Do we still have time, or do we have time for feedback from people?
So officially we still have 3 more minutes, so perhaps we can move to discussion.
Okay, well, so I'm going to conclude my presentation by saying I cut a lot of it, but Pule's presentation always so interesting, that even if you are not a linguist, phonetician, even if you are not a speaker of the 2 languages, the languages spoken in Southern Africa, you can still play with the script. It's kind of a game like Sudoku, and in my opinion, the script is so systematic that it can be your first additional script that will lead you to other scripts, because a lot of people are not familiar with different scripts, and they don't know how to start using the any other script or the isiBheqe script. So this one is so regular, so systematic that it's very enjoyable. So now there's a person was asking about how to that you can type isiBheqe, and oh well. Okay, there's some conversation I'm trying to answer. So Tanya is asking, this is really interesting. How long does it usually take for people to learn writing it directly? Okay, so I can tell you, when I first stumbled upon this script, I felt like I'm giving myself 10 days. And I thought it was already long, and thinking like, first of all, it's ridiculous to have a different script. I don't understand the point. And I give myself 10 days. And actually what I've done is that I took a book of isiZulu, a book I was familiar with in French, which is called The Little Prince, Le Petit Prince. And the version I had was in isiZulu, and I took the isiZulu words and I wrote them in the script of isiBheqe. And what I've done is that I had the A syllable chart to assist me with. And I had as well the keyboard, the GitHub keyboard that we show you, that has a white background. And that's how I was checking how the consonants were combining. And yes, after 2 weeks.
If I can just add, you know, because isiBheqe is like a feature of syllabary, like Korean Hangul, there's a famous quote about Hangul, how long it takes, because some people say you can learn Hangul in 15 minutes, you know. But there's a famous quote from, I think it's accredited to Emperor Sejong, and it says, "The Hangul, a wise man can learn it within a morning. Even a fool can learn it within a week." That's a quote from like the 1500s from Korea.
Yes.
And I think isiBheqe is quite similar. You can get the basics. Within a day you can get the basics. It's really not, because it's iconic as well. It's not a text on the memory. It's not
Indeed.
a lot of rote learning. Yeah.
I fully agree, and it's systematical, and it's yeah. And then the joy of creating some beautiful visuals after that is incredible. And to finish on the interest of the script is that in isiZulu, a proficient reader takes more time to get the meaning compared to an English reader in the Latin alphabet. It's because the words in isiZulu are very long. It's an agglutinative language with a conjunctive orthography. Correct me, Pule, if I'm saying wrong things. And visually, it makes very long words. And so a proficient reader in isiZulu in the Latin alphabet has to go back several times, more time, like between 20 and 50% of the time compared to an English reader. Now, that means that, for example, on an examination script, a copy, it makes an isiZulu reader at a disadvantage compared to an English reader in the Latin alphabet. So my aim as a grapholinguist is to study if the script isiBheqe would be relevant in memorization or in the cognitive field compared to the Latin alphabet. So that's it. So we're done, and I think we can open the floor for questions.
I see there's a whole discussion going on in the chat as well.
I can see.
But I see Ntuli has a hand up.
Molo, Pule. Molo, Tata. Hello.
Molo.
Hello, how are you?
Good, and yourself? Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I see maybe also Menno can also come in here because he just wrote something that that I'm curious about. So I understand that somebody else is developing the code for this platform, and I'm wondering if you guys have access to the code, and I'm wondering if it is an open source code. And I saw Menno wrote something about the code being essentially a tokenizer for phonemes. And I'm wondering if Menno can extend on that and explain. But I'm wondering if the code, if the algorithm for this platform, if it is open source, if it is available. Thank you.
Gosh, I'm not sure I understood much. Can I request the assistance of Menno and Pule?
As you can see here, it's on GitHub and it's completely open source. You can do anything with that code. It's there. This code is designed by Baruch Lupinski, who's I think a South African based in the US. And he's put it on his account here on GitHub. So you're free to use that code. It was created under that premise, you know. It was a very small budget that was used to hire that person to do that through an arts foundation. So the condition was that it must absolutely be open source. So I really appreciate that concern.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm trying to make sense of the chat as well. A lot of things are going on there, but I see Colin also has a hand up.
Thank you, Menno. Thank you very much, Sebulela kakhulu Pule, and Iris, merci mille fois. I think that one of the things that my colleague Rhea and I are discussing as we're watching and listening to this is the potential for active decolonization of texts and particularly the discomfort that a person used to the Roman alphabet would feel if English asked if anyone has experimented with writing stuff that's traditionally written in Roman alphabet in isiBheqe soHlamvu. So thank you.
Kulen, I understood, I heard some part of your intervention, but not all of it. It was cutting on my side. What I can say about the script, isiBheqe script, is that it's part of this emerging script of Africa, the African continent, along with Adlam, for example, or Ndebe, and Lotama as a website where she created the script for Igbo that we can use also for Yoruba and other languages. And she speaks about the discomfort of using the Latin alphabet that is not cut for the languages of the continent. Adlam was the same, created by two teenagers at the time, where Latin alphabet was not representing accurately the nuances of their language, Pular.
Ah, great. So that's exactly what I was saying. Is I think if that same discomfort could be a way to change thought patterns among people who operate from the privileged or kind of privilege blind position of saying, but everyone speaks English. So I think it would be good to actively experiment with writing things that people are habituated to seeing in Latin script in isiBheqe. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, there's one more question in the chat. I also realize we're running a little bit over time. I'm still fine, but I realize if people want or need to leave, then well, we can't keep them here. So Hein is asking, how are the click sounds in Xhosa, for example, represented?
I can just show the chart as well to show you that. Yeah, so here we have click sounds. So for example, that is the aspirated dental click. Can we see the chart here? Yeah.
Yep, I can see it.
Yeah, ta. Yeah, so here's ta, this is twa. Yeah, so this symbol here with a line through it like that, indicating the dental, that would be the dental click, 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 click. And then this would be the alveolar click, click, as in ka. And here would be kwa, right? And then the lateral click, lateral means on the side. Click, click, click is on the side, and therefore it is actually on the side. That's also the iconicity of the script, is that when something is lateral, it's going to be on the side of the triangle. So this one is ka, this one is na, this one is kwa, this one is mwa. So here we have that. Yeah, that's the click. And there are actually additional clicks going beyond Sintu languages like Kwemana and Gui languages like Nuki and stuff. There is actually a fourth click, which if I can I don't know if you can see my mouse here, but it actually extends beyond the base of the triangle to create the palatal click that actually exists. It doesn't exist in Xhosa or Zulu or our Sintu languages in this region, but it does exist in, for example, Nama language or Kora language or Haikom or these other languages that are formally classed under that word Kwe languages and so-called San or Gui languages, Gui and Ta languages. So there are actually click sounds that are even beyond the scope of Sintu languages that have been developed. But those are the clicks, yeah.
So can we say, Pule, that this script is still developing, and since we can write it in any direction, nothing has been decided. There's no orthography of it. We can write from left to right, right to left, up, down, down, up, or we can even use it as, how do you call that, logogram?
Yes, there is the ideographic meaning remains, you know. This is
Yes.
also something you know about Hangul. Those who know the deeper philosophy of Hangul, you know, it is a very much Taoist philosophy inside there. You know, so there is a deeper, you know, even in the study of African scripts like Mandombe, the philosophical. I think I had a conversation with Simon, who's actually on this call. You know, the deeper side of the worldview and philosophical views behind these things are contained inside these symbols as well. And you can go deep into the ideographic meanings and how they relate to indigenous philosophy as well. That is another aspect to it. And a lot of schools of indigenous writing systems, like the Mandombe school, if you go to Nkamba in Congo and learn that thing, you really have a very rigorous engagement with the African philosophical principles that the script comes out of, and that are iconic and ideographically represented as well in the script, just as the phonetics are represented. So I think that's an important feature as well, is that it's a culture contained in graphic form. It's not just language; it's a whole culture. It's whole cultural understanding.
Thank you.
Just a last question. I see that the chat is still ongoing, but just a quick last question. Stephen says the color aspect adds another dimension to this writing form. Are the colors set or something the writer or user can interchange at will?
I can answer that and say that, you know, color in general in the region, color is always relative. It's always relative. So it's relative to the geographical context. There might be colors that are associated with the particular person, form, whatever. But in the tradition of Incwadi or Tando, so-called, the Amapetle, which are so-called Zulu love letter, whatever the stereotypical name might be, those things are, the colors have meaning. They have a binary meaning. They can be negative or positive, but you would only know the meaning according to the nature of your relationship and the nature of the colors in combination. So I think colors is very contextual. It's based on the author and the context. So the author as a person operating in a social context. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that it's a non-linguistic feature that you are able to access through a linguistic tool like this system. And you can't read, you can, you know, in Latin alphabet, we do that with font. We do it with color, but it's more about font. Whereas this color can be used to convey that kind of thing, which feeds into certain traditions of color symbolism that you can research. I mean, there's a lot of people who wrote about color symbolism in beadwork.
Cool, thank you so much. I think we've had the most active chat as well during this presentation compared to all the other presentations. I thought it was a really interesting presentation. I think people liked it as well, looking at the chat that's still ongoing. But thank you so much for a presentation. I think we'll have to stop here. People also have other appointments again, but thank you so much. Yeah, I personally really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Siyabulela akhenza Rolivuwa.
Siyabonga kakhulu.
Siyabonga amabhengwane.
Okay, thanks everybody.